Milestone 5, Task 2, or Circle 1 analysis. And in this project, our Task 2 project, we have guided by concept. Now the concept is based on a project for the book The Great Gatsby by F. Scott Fitzgerald. And because this is a contemporary book, you can use contemporary information, so more up to date. Because this book is also going to be in a vertical format, one of your images will be, final images will be vertical, but it also will be placed into another book, letterpress book, which will be horizontal. And both of them should represent your concept. You sent in a proposal, and that was responded to, so that your concept will work with the material. I also recommended using models, costumes, and props to put it into, although make it contemporary, also make it fit into the particular image. You're also to use the elements and principles of design. There needs to be place for the cover, so about 1/5 of the image needs to have an area to put the title in. I always recommend using rule of thirds. It's best to bring your eye to the attention of the main subject, but also leaving room then for the titles. You are to do 20 images, making 2 from that in task 2, and then in task 3 you'll continue to make another 20 images, as we will discuss. And Sarah, you have a whole cast of the characters from The Great Gatsby in your images. It's quite interesting how you have this whole group of people working with you, and you know, I think some of your ideas are really great, and I want to talk to you a little bit about maybe taking this even a step further. I like the idea that you use the car. It's very important and essential in this story. In this story though, or in this particular image, I find the truck a distraction. The car alone, it would have been good to move that truck or to put the car in a position so that the images are a little stronger. Also, you've centered everything in the picture, so my eye just goes to the center. It's not flowing around the picture in good design. So what I would do is crop it for rule of thirds. That also helps to get rid of some of that truck distraction in the background. It would be in the aspect ratio of your rule of thirds, so that the image probably would be you know, more like this. And you know, my attention though is still going to go to the guy in red. Red first will get my attention first. That's a color, and then the yellow. They are dressed very, very casually for Great Gatsby. Gatsby is a lot of it has to do with kind of fancy dress, and but I think you got some good ideas. By putting 7 people in the image though, you could have done, I think, a little bit more. For instance, if I look in this particular picture, you don't have to have, who would be your main subject? Your main subjects would be closer in the front. You might have your other subjects sitting on picnic benches or in the background. They don't even have to be in focus, or behind the car, so that it's not, they don't have all the same weight or the same. So I'm not sure exactly who is going to be my my main subject. This image, we need to open up the shadow areas a bit. It's a little dark, and then by coming back with the blacks, or you know, it helps to, I think, open up, you just view the picture better. It gives it a little more color too. So we go from this image to this one, and I like the motion, or the hands. The cropping's a little tight on this, and it feels more like it would be a vertical shot versus a horizontal image. So if we look at how this looks vertically, I want to use the rule of thirds. Their heads would be in the upper third. It's not good to crop the hand, so you crop it above the wrist. And so as you're taking shots like this, this is all that this picture is about. And now you can see the expression on the face is a little bit more. So I think the cropping is better. And that's for you too, to get in closer as you're shooting your particular images. Looking at all the shots, a lot of them are taken, you're taking it from the same point of view, same angle, same lighting, and same setup. So I'd like to see you do a little bit more variety. You know, you do the long shot, then you get in closer, and then go even closer. Okay, so it's kind of like 3 stages to each shot. Here, this one you have it's kind of nice telling the story. You've got the gun. He looks a little too posed in that. You want to get the feeling there too in the that. And you're just lining people up. Again, you could have people sitting on the bench, sitting on top of the bench, sitting on the ground, and then having your main subjects. So those are all different techniques, and you see a lot of contemporary pictures like that if you look at them. I like the idea of kind of taking the prop of a toy gun. Golf also meaning, something that, because it takes a lot of money to play golf. I like the way she's kicking up her feet, but you needed to have all his feet in the image. So for your next 30 images, I would suggest, this is a great one, I would suggest going ahead and trying to get these people together, but, have them doing different things in the background, not, talking to each other, spaced out, and putting your main subjects closest to the front to get the attention, or the ones that are in focus, and using them as frames also on the image. So I think you have a great start on this project. You really did great with getting your models together. I think the girls have a little bit more of a upscale look to them. All your information looks good, your ISO and settings. So we look forward to seeing the next 20 images. And Robin, you have images that are symbolizing Gatsby looking across the water for his lost love. There would have been a green light. We advised you against trying to shoot a green light across the water just because it never shows right. If you have it closer up, or you make a scene yourself, have your own green light, sometimes it works. So although I think the idea is pretty good, this is why we need costumes and props in these images to really bring it into context. And I think your brother makes a great model, and maybe if he was dressed differerly, like dressed up, like Gatsby might be. Always wore, cute clothes, maybe a suit, a tie, a white shirt, even a bow tie, a hat, to dress your brother up, because he's just in his, out to play clothes, and that's what it comes across as. So I'm not really getting the feeling, if this was a cover, that this would be Gatsby at all. So costumes are very important here, and props. So for your next images, please do that. Also, stay away from centering your main subject. This has been a topic that we've discussed this whole course. If anything else, you should learn rule of thirds in this class. And because my eye goes to the center and it can't flow around the picture. So all these images can be cropped in the aspect ratio of a full page so that your model is in the third of the picture. His head might be a third down. And so this would be a better cropping. I can even come in a little bit more on the side on that. This is a better cropping for that particular image. Now if he's dressed up, and I'm not sure what he's doing, if it's like his arms are out like he's sleepwalking. So you want to be sure that you're capturing something that feels, even if you're setting it up, that feels realistic. And that's where, again, the costumes and the props. Again, you've centered your subject, and he needs to be off center. And that would even be a little bit better. I'm just doing this quite quickly. Looking at your other images, I'd like to see more variety, more changing in costumes, use of props. The setting is kind of ordinary. Maybe you can find a place or a setting that might be more ordinary. Or changing the clothing. Something needs to change to make these images look okay for a book cover. Think about going to the bookstore, and would that even talk about what's going on, that image speak to you about what's going on in the story? Think about what you would need to see in order to put the two together. So it's a good start, and you got a great model, but you're the one that needs to dress him and give him the props and take that extra information for him. And I'm sure he'll love it. He's been great so far in helping you out. And Laura, you have really done a fantastic job on getting a great model. You use props, you use costumes. You have a nice setting for your image. And I'm just going to go over a couple of items that I think will be helpful. And because we will need to do some additional imagery. So for this image, you've centered your model. So there's a white shape that is right in the center of the image. And as we look at this from upside down, you can see where your eye is going is just going to be to this white shape. So we want to crop it. And we'll crop the image so that he's facing, if he's facing, which would be to my right, I'll crop it so that he will, I think it'll crop better actually as a vertical in this particular instance. But if we wanted it to be a horizontal image, I would put him in the rule of thirds. I would just take out, and we'd have to crop it. You really need to shoot it that way because you have plenty of background. So we'll just see if you have some more imagery. But by putting him to the side of the image and keeping his head about a third down too. Okay, I'm going to try to use the rule of thirds. Actually, just because of the placement of the head, I'm going to use the rule of thirds going this direction. So here he is. He's like in the rule, using the rule of thirds. We have negative, positive shapes. And I think that it's easier to look at the image and now to be guided by the lines as they're moving around. Your second image too is kind of, great. You look fantastic. He looks fantastic. So great models and wonderful. I'm glad you did the, got a great turtle tattoo is showing very nicely. And have a nice warm feeling. I'm glad you talked about having the apple juice and kind of giving us a little more information on this particular image. So I think this is a great shot. I just want to talk to you a little bit about opening up your shadows. You open the shadows up, you add blacks back in, but when you add the blacks back in, you've got the detail. And it also crisps up the color. So you go from this image to this one. You can see it just kind of brightens it up, and that's just working with shadow. Let's look at some of your other images. Great shots. You did a lot of variety on these. A lot of, using of the props, interactions that are going on. I think this is a great shot. Hats off, together, with the cigarettes, looking a part of the time, and bringing it contemporary. The other ones I love are these ones you took outside in the garden. This is beautiful. I think this is one of your strongest ones. I like the fact that you're kind of behind and he's in front looking back. I'd like to see his hand not chopped. Sitting on the bench. And you only have a few of these, so this is what I'd like to see you kind of work on now for your next ones. It's working on rule of thirds. This is a great one, number 19. That's really usable for your final, but I want to see you doing some more like this. You did such a great job. So this is task 2, and then you'll need task 3 imagery. Wonderful work, wonderful modeling. And I think you nailed this assignment. Just take it to the next, be sure you do the extra imagery, the extra 20. Now, Taisha, you have a glass with some lipstick on, and you have your model as Gatsby holding the glass. In the background are the cars. I like the close-up. I like the way you frame the image. It's kind of an interesting sky going on in the background. But let's talk about what happened. Now, most of your writing is about what didn't happen instead of what did happen. The models that didn't show up instead of the model that you had at hand. So let's first look at using the model that you have. You got a wonderful model. He's been so good to you, the whole class. So it's up to you to find costumes for him, to find props for him, and to set him up in a way that works. It's just about it. This assignment just works better when you have these things at hand. The shirt that he's got on is not, it's really bright, and in some ways it works because the red kind of connects as far as shapes go, but as far as speaking Gatsby, maybe not so much. Maybe you could have added maybe a suit or a tie, or just a white shirt with a tie, or a hat or something into the image. Here we have just the glass holding it up. And you have a good use of close-ups, of shallow depth of field, good use of rule of thirds and framing. So you've got a lot of the techniques down. Now we want to just kind of zero in. So instead of showing me the ties, the model that didn't show up, I would have liked to have seen the tie on the model that did. And so for your next images, instead of having just pictures of ties and glasses, you can dress up too. You can be in these images. Okay, set your camera, use your remote control and shoot the images, or set it on timer. Change his clothes. Be very aware of the costumes and the props. So when you're taking these images, and then take some more. Take a lot more images, because I think you've got some great ideas, but I don't want to see you writing all about the things that didn't work out. I want you to be successful in having them work out with people that are going to show up, and you've got someone there, and you'll show up, and then you can also work on your other things. Okay. Looking at just the still lifes you have. Probably need more in this image than this. The wooden porch probably isn't adding anything to the elegance. It might add, it looks like more like a tie add. So what else can you do to make these images really work? Here too, you get reflection in the glass. What is happening with the reflection? Could Daisy be in the background there in the reflection? You know? Could you be shooting through it to get Gatsby in there? Let's think about some of these other techniques that will make your cover stories very unique. So I look forward to seeing your next 20 images. And that will conclude Milestone 5, Task 2, our Circle 1 analysis.